Today I'm gonna go ahead and just record it from right now, so I don't forget about it. Okay, so we're gonna continue. Last time we just finished completing the square, and today we're gonna start how to do quadratic formula, right? So I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, I think it's going to be 4.3 or something like that, 4.3 quadratic formula. So that is, quadratic formula is the ultimate method to solve quadratic equation. Okay, so that method by default is the best one. But the only thing, it is a formula, which means it is meant to be memorized. When we say memorize, it's literally memorized. It's not a dirty word. Memorizing is not like a dirty word in math. No, some stuff we memorize them. Okay? Of course, the best memorization, if you want to memorize something, the best way to do it is to, of course, is to practice it. To practice it until you memorize it, right? This is the best way. But at the end of the day, memorizing a formula is the best thing to do, right? Okay, so we'll talk about the test at the end of the day. I did grade the test. I sent you your stuff. Overall, the test was way better than the first test. I think it was it was a good test for a lot of people. I was happy with that. Now, of course, it cannot be like good for everybody, but for the majority of class, it was not a bad test. All right, so what basically, I'm going to skip the step of showing you where the formula come from, okay? Because it's going to take us some time. It's going to say like about maybe 20 minutes, and then some people will be turned off because of the math, etc. So, but it is on the book. If you have the book, you can see the steps. Basically, some people took, the ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. They take it right here, plus bx plus c equals 0. They do all the steps, they divide by a, divide by a, divide by a, divide by a, you get x squared plus b over ax, etc., equal to negative c over a, and they add something to make it a perfect square. You see, all those steps. Now, if I decide to do it, it's going to take 20 minutes, right? And the time is tight. And then some people will be confused anyway, right? Because of the algebra in it, okay? So what you're gonna do is we're gonna lay down the formula and we're gonna practice it, right? But in math, just like in any science, every formula comes from somewhere, right? See, if this was a math major class, we would show first where the formula comes from before we announced it, okay? But now let's do it. So the equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is not 0, has solutions or roots, right? Or roots. What are they? X equal negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4a times c all over 2 times a. This is what's called the quadratic formula. And again, by the next class, I hope everybody gonna memorize it. You're not allowed to use notes in any test. So this one, you have to memorize it, okay? You have to know it by heart, okay? And it is just a formula, okay? A and B and C are right there. So once you identify A, B, and C, and you just substitute them, that's it. This is faster than any other method. I mean, for a general equation. If the equation is not nice, That is the fastest method, okay? So now, for instance, let's see this one right here, example. 6x squared, right, minus 11x equal to -5. Okay, you see, that is my equation, right? Of course, right here, for the methods that we know so far, right? The factoring method, do you think this equation is very friendly for factoring? What do you think?
No.
It is not. It is not friendly for factoring. I mean, you can try, but it's not very friendly. Me personally, I wouldn't try. Do you think it is friendly for completing the square?
If we add the 5 to the other side.
We add the 5, but remember, to completing the square, the x squared has to be alone, right?
Oh, right.
And to make the x squared alone, we have to divide by 6, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as we divide by 6, we will have some mad fractions, 11/6, right?
Right.
Which is not a very nice fraction. And then, so we can do the completing the square, but you have to be proficient in algebra, in arithmetics, okay? So, but the quadratic formula doesn't care about that, basically. So, but look at the quadratic formula. Are we ready to say A equals B equals C equals? Are we ready to say that? Look right here. The formula is derived from an equation. What do you see on one side of the equation?
0.
I see 0 on one side. This equation, this formula is only valid when you have 0 on one side, okay? The formula is only valid after you have 0 on one side, okay? Do we have 0 on one side here as this equation, as we see, do we have 0 on one side?
No, we have to add 5 to the other side.
Exactly. So that's going to be always the first step. The first is going to be always get 0 on one side. Doesn't matter which side you have to have 0 on. It doesn't matter which side, but you have to have 0 on one side. Okay? Of course, in this case, it is easier to add 5 on both sides, right? So what we do here, we do add 5, we add 5. So what you get? We get 6x squared, right? We get 6x squared minus 11x plus 5 equal what? Equal 0, right? Now we are ready to say who is A, who is B, who is C. A is how much?
6.
A is 6. How much is B?
-11.
-11. How much is C?
+5.
+5, right? You see, now I'm ready to write the formula, right, which is in front of me, right here, x equals -b. So I say x equals -b, which means negative, and then the b is -11. You see, I do that, right? Plus or minus square root of b squared. Remember, every time you have to square a negative number, you have to put parentheses around it, right? B squared, right? Minus 4 times 6 times 5, right? Okay, all over 2a. All over. You see, some people do this. That is not correct. Your fraction bar has to be all over like this, right? 2 times 6. You see, from here, I already have the right answer from this. The only thing I have to do is to simplify it. You see how quick that is? The only thing I have to do next is to simplify it. But from here, I already have the right answer. This is 11 plus or minus square root. This is 121. And then minus, this is 120, right? Okay. 4 times 6 is 24. 24 times 5 is 120. So it's square of 1 all over 12. And if If my square root was not nice, I would stop right here. If, for instance, if my square root was 17, I would stop right here, okay? Nothing to do. But since my square root is very nice one, since my square is square of 1, I know it is 1, right? It's going to be 11 plus or minus 1 over 12, right? Which breaks down as 11 plus 1 over 12, which is 1, and 11 minus 1 over 12, which is 10 over 12, which is 5 over 6, right? That's it. This is a quadratic formula. This is a quadratic formula right here, okay? So let's do another example of the quadratic formula. All right, so if I have x squared, right, equals, negative 3x minus 7, right? This is a quadratic equation. Again, I have to have 0 on one side, right? I have to have 0 on one side. What am I going to do? I have the choice. Either I bring the x squared over to the right side, or either I bring the 3 terms over to the left side, right? Me, right, for some reason, I prefer to bring everybody to the left side. For some reason, there is no math. There is no math reason for that. It's just me, I wanted that. I mean, if you want to do factoring, if you want to solve by factoring, it's better to have x squared with a positive sign, right? But if you want to do quadratic formula, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to bring the x squared over to the right side or to bring 3x and 7 to the left side. It doesn't matter, okay? Let's go ahead and bring the 2 to the right side, okay? Plus 3x plus 7 plus 3x plus 7. So this cancel out. Once you get, we get x squared plus 3x plus 7 equals 0, right? How much is a? A is how much?
1.
A is 1, right? Right. A is 1. B is how much? 3. And C is 7. So what is then? I got x equals negative b, which is negative 3, plus or minus square root of b squared, which is 3 squared, minus 4 times 1 times 7, right? All over 2 times 1. You can imagine how much mistake people do inside the square root. People do a lot of mistakes inside the square root. If you do your numbers wrong inside the square root, if you calculate wrong, then your answer will be wrong for sure, right? So you have to respect the PEMDAS, or if you have a calculator, you use a calculator. This is 9 minus 28, right? Which is negative 20, negative 19, right? So we get negative 3 plus or minus square root of negative 19 all over 2, right? Now, do you stop right here as your final answer? Do you stop right here as your final answer?
Should you take the negative 19 and make it a 9 and a negative 2? No, that's 18. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we have to do? We have to do something. We can stop right here. If you do that in my open math, it's going to tell you you are wrong.
Oh, take the negative out for an I?
Exactly. Thank you. Don't stop right here as your final answer, because the squares of negative 19 has to be rewritten. It will be negative 3 plus or minus I square root of 19 all over 2, right? Okay. So your two numbers are if you have two boxes, for instance, you are doing my open math, it's going to be -3 plus I square root of 19 divided by 2, and -3 minus I square root of 19 divided by 2. All right? So this is how we do quadratic formula, right here. No more, no less, right? So let me give you a couple of examples right here. Are you going to try to do them? So x, solve. All right, so do these two, please, everybody. I just like sometimes to do it, like, you know, some good minutes for everybody. Try to do that, everybody, please.
Can I do the first one?
Yeah, so let's give a couple of minutes for everybody to finish. Then we're gonna do the first one.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. You said you're gonna do the first one. Okay, go ahead. What
So-
is the first step you have to do? Thank you.
The first step was I subtracted 3 on both sides.
Okay.
So I got 4x squared minus x minus 3 equals 0.
Uh-huh.
Then I started plugging in the formula x equals positive 1.
So tell me first, how much is A?
A is 4.
How much is B?
-1,
And C is?
-3.
Yep. And then you get X equal what?
+1.
Positive 1, right? And the positive one comes from -1. Thank you. And then what she did next?
Plus or minus square root of -1 squared.
Okay. Have you put parentheses around -1? Like that?
Of course.
Yes. Okay. And
Minus
then?
4 times 4 times -3.
Yep. That's right.
And then all over 2 times 4.
That is right. Okay, so now tell me what you got. You got +1, right? Plus or minus. What number did you get inside the square root?
1 minus 48.
Did you get 1 minus 48 or 1 plus 48?
I got -4 times 4 is -16.
And
Oh,
-16 times -3 is positive?
positive 48. Oops.
Yep, positive 48. So 1 plus 48 is 49.
Dang.
So don't worry about, I mean, this is a very, very common mistake, you know. Always, that is a very, very common mistake among students, right? So,
see, I even got positive 48, but I look at the subtraction, like -4 as like staying constant sometimes.
Okay, now it's like, you know, this whole thing, basically you have to count how many minuses from here to the end. If you have 2 minuses, it's going to end up to be positive. If you have 3 minuses, it's going to end up to be negative, etc., etc., right? So over 8. Okay, so that, you know, that will give you 1 plus 7 divided by 8 and 1 minus 7 divided by 8, right? This is 1, and this is -6 over 8, which is -3 over 4. All right, thank you very much. You see, it always happens to do, like, you know, a sign mistake. Instead of plus, you put minus, instead of minus, you put plus. That is very common. So in the test, for instance, you have to double check that so you don't lose points. Okay, everybody, you have to double check that so you don't lose points. Thank you very much for the first one.
You're welcome. Another thing I always forget, or not always, but a lot of times I forgot when I would be working on these, is putting it all over the 2 times A. And I'd be like, what's
okay, you see, again, don't forget that, because if you forget one element, you know, from the formula, your answer will be wrong for sure. Right? Now it depends how much the teacher is willing to give you. If the teacher is willing to give you some partial credit for what you did, or, you know, some teachers just give you 0 for that, right? So you have to, this is a formula. If I know the formula, again, in my opinion, this is one of the easiest method because it is a formula. Once you know the formula, you have just to plug in the numbers, right? But unfortunately, sometimes people come to the test, they don't know exactly the formula. I have seen that a lot. You have to know the formula. Once you know it, you just plug in the numbers, you know. So somebody willing to give us the steps for the next one? Somebody? Okay, go ahead, please.
First, I subtracted the x and added the 1 to both sides.
Thank you very much. You see, I would do the same thing myself. So I would bring this 2 over. It's going to be x squared minus x plus 1 equals 0, right? Okay, now give me, how much is A?
A is 1.
B is how much?
-1.
And C is?
1.
Exactly. That is right. You see, as simple as this number is, as simple as they are, we do more mistakes for this example than the other ones. You see? So x equal how much then? You said?
X equals negative, and then I put in parentheses -1. Plus or minus.
Yep.
And then the square, and then I put -1 squared. -4 times 1 times 1.
Yep.
And then over 2 times 1.
That is right. So you get equal what?
It equals 1 plus or minus
Mm-hmm.
in the square 1 minus 4.
Yep, this is 1 minus 4, which is negative.
Negative 3.
All over 2, right? Okay. Did you stop right here, or what did you write next?
Yeah, I kept going. And then I put x equals 1 plus or minus I with a square of 3 over 2.
Yep. That is right.
Did you want me to divide it into 2 or just leave it like that?
Yeah, you can leave it like that, or okay, go ahead. If you had, so what are the 2 solutions?
The 2 solutions would be 1 plus I, the square root of 3 over 2. And the other would be 1 minus I, so square of 3 over 2.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. You see, the quadratic formula, we cannot make it any harder than this. Okay. Of course, you know, if I want to be like mean, you know, on the test, I will bring you something with some crazy numbers in front of the x's. But I will not do that. You know, just some regular numbers. Okay. So you have to know that formula. That formula we just did. You have to know that formula by heart, right? You have to know the formula. Okay. If you don't know the formula, you cannot make it up. You see, you cannot make it up. You cannot just the day of the test make it up if you don't know it. And the best way to know the formula is through practice. Okay. All right. So that is the last method we have seen. So we have three methods, I think. The first one is by factoring. That was seen like chapter 1, and then the completing the square, and then the quadratic formula. Okay. This method, factoring, is an opportunity method. You only factor, you only think about it if the example is easy, if you can see the factoring like quickly. You see, for instance, you see x squared plus 3x, you know, minus 10. Oh, okay, equals 0. You see, this example looks nice to me. You know, I have nice numbers. I can give it a try. I can try to factor, right? But other than that, the quadratic formula will be the main method, right? If you have the choice. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the parabolas, right? We're gonna see how to graph them. Okay, so the graph of the equation, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, when a is not 0, this graph is a parabola, what you call a parabola, right? And what is a parabola? A parabola is some type of U-shaped graph. You see, the parabola is some type of U-shaped graph. It's going to be either like this or either like this. Okay, that is what you call a parabola. It's either like a U-shaped open U or reversed U. Okay, so what decides when the parabola will be open upward or when the parabola will be open downward? What is the deciding factor of that? Somebody knows?
Is it what C, if C is positive or negative?
Yeah, not C, another one, not C.
B?
Not B. A, right? It's going to be like that when A is positive. It's going to be like that when A is negative, right? This A right here is a deciding factor. The A tells you when your parabola will open up and when your parabola will open down, right? And in the parabola, we have a singular point, one point that is very, very particular is this one. Do you know what name we give to this one? Somebody knows?
The vertex.
Yep, the vertex. This is called the vertex. Okay, it is called the vertex. Pretty much the vertex tells us something about the maximum and something about the minimum, right? The vertex. The vertex is a point that will tell us what is the maximum and what is the minimum, right? So, for instance, how we read the vertex, for instance, if you got this, if I have this right here, and I get this right here, and this is a point, this is like, 5, and this is like 20, right? So my vertex is 5, 20. What it tells me, this is X, this is Y. My vertex tells me that the maximum, the minimum value, because this is like the lowest point, right? In this case, it tells me the minimum value is 20, right? Like here, reached when X is 5. Okay, this is how much information the vertex gives me. Every time you have a vertex, it's going to tell you what is the minimum or what is the maximum, depending on how the curve is open, right? The vertex is very important. In this topic, every time we ask you what is the minimum or what is the maximum, the answer will be inside the vertex. Everybody see how we read the vertex? What is the minimum value? The minimum value of Y is 20, right? When we reach it, when do we reach that 20? When X is 5, okay? So if I give you this one now, if I give you this vertex, if I say this vertex is 2, 17. What information this vertex gives me? Can you tell me? Can somebody tell me?
Does it tell you that the maximum value is 17 when 2?
Reach when X is
2.
Exactly. Okay. So in the next steps, we're going to see how to find the vertex. That's going to be our first goal. How to find the vertex of an equation, right? Of a parabola. So at first we have what you call the vertex form. This is the general form right here. This is the general form. You see, this is what you call the general form. In this form, it's very hard to say what is a vertex in this form. But we have another form, which is a vertex form. When you have the vertex form, it's very easy to say what is a vertex, what is the minimum point or what is the maximum point, which is Y equals A parentheses X minus H squared plus K. That is what you call the vertex form. You see, this is a vertex form. When you have, if your equation is given like that, the vertex is the point H for the X coordinate, comma, K. Okay? When the equation is given like this, in this form, you can read the vertex. Okay? Unfortunately, the equation will not be given in this form every time. But if the equation is given like this, you can tell exactly what is the vertex. And look inside the parentheses, is X minus H, right? But look at the coordinate of the X coordinate of the vertex. We didn't put negative H, we put positive H, which means you have to solve. If you're going to find what number to put for the X coordinate, you have to solve the parentheses equal to 0. I give you an example. For instance, if we say, find the vertex. Find the vertex, and we say Y equals 3 parentheses X minus 2 squared plus 7. You see, this form right here, it does match the vertex form, right? Does it? What plays A in this form? What plays A?
3.
3. What place H?
-2.
You see, that is a point where I want to insist. If you want to find H, you have to solve x minus 2 equals 0. What number will make it 0? 2 or -2?
Positive.
+2, right? You see, to find the H of the vertex, to find the H, you solve x minus 2 equals 0. So you add 2, so the x is 2, the H is 2. So the vertex will be the point 2, comma. Now for the 7, for the K, you have to take everything you see here. You have to take everything. It's going to be +7, right? It's 2, 7. Everybody see that? Don't say -2. For the H, you have to solve the parentheses equal to 0 in your head, right? If it is minus, the number will be positive. If it's plus, the number will be negative. Okay. How this parabola opens? Upward or downward? Can you tell me? This parabola, how it does open? Upward or downward?
Upward. Upward, yeah.
Why upward?
Because A is greater than 0.
A is greater than 0. And we said, who plays A here?
2.
What number plays A?
Oh, so 3.
3. You see, 3 is positive. So my parabola opens like this. And that point is a point 27, right? If I see that, so now I give you another one. Tell me what is the vertex. If y is equal to -5 x plus 4 squared minus 19, what is a vertex? Go ahead, everybody, write what you think is a vertex. When we say the vertex, it is a point. It is a point, and a point is an x coordinate and a y coordinate, right? Every time we say vertex, it is a point, and the point is an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So what do you think? What is a vertex here? What is the H? What is the K?
H is -4.
-4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sees what H is -4? Everybody? Because you have to solve always in your head, you solve x plus 4 equals 0, right? So you want -4, you get x equal -4. So that is -4. How much is the K?
-19.
Exactly. You have to take whatever you see here, -19. Okay? That is a vertex. And how this parabola opens? Upward or downward?
Now it's downward. Wait.
Now it is downward because the -5 is negative. This parabola opened like this, and that is -4, -19. Like I said, unfortunately, when we ask you about the vertex, we don't give you in that form. You see, unfortunately, we don't give you the vertex in that form. We give you in the general form. For instance, I tell you now how to find the vertex in general, for how to write the vertex form. This is what you're going to do. Okay, so let's see, for instance, this one right here. You see, this one is 3 times x minus 2 squared plus 7. If I break it down in my head, right? If I go ahead and break down the parentheses, I'm going to go x squared minus 4x plus 4. I multiply by 3, etc. Right? I'm going to do it in my head. So it's going to be y equals 3x squared minus 12x, right? So plus 12 plus 19. Right? You see, this what you see here is exactly this. I just broke it down in my head, right? You see, that right here, what I just wrote, below is exactly this expression that I broke down, right? It's x squared minus 4x plus 4, right, etc. So now, like this. Can you tell what is a vertex like this? Can you say, just looking at this, can you say the vertex is actually 2, 7? Do you see 2 anywhere? Do you see 7 anywhere? We cannot say, right? We have to learn, we will learn how to write the vertex form, at least with one example. And then, even better than that, we will see how to find the vertex without even writing the vertex form. But I will show you this one in case if you need it, like in my open math, right? How to get the vertex form, how to go from here to here. You see how to get from here to here. Okay, we're gonna learn. It's gonna be about like 2-3 steps. First, in this one we have what you call a perfect square, right? X minus 3 is a perfect square. We don't have a perfect square here, so we're gonna do something to get a perfect square. But first, what you're gonna do? I'm going to factor out 3 here. You see these 2 right here? I'm going to factor 3 out. Only out of those 2 numbers, only those 2 terms. It's going to be 3 parentheses x squared minus 4x plus 19. Okay? What I'm going to do next? I'm going to add a number that's going to make it a perfect square. Do you remember that from last week?
Oh yeah, we put it in the little box.
Yeah. So complete here. Add a number, complete to perfect square. So what is the appropriate number to add to make it a perfect square?
Is it
inside the parentheses? You see x squared minus 4x. I need to add me a number that want to make it a perfect square.
4 times -4 divided by 2.
Yeah, it's like you are close.
Is 8.
So do you recall exactly the steps? It's going to involve squaring, but before we square the number, so what number you have to divide by 2? The half of what number?
Oh.
I'm talking like to 14 people or 13 people. Somebody exactly remembers what he said last time? You know, what number to add to make it a perfect square?
Do we divide 4 by 2?
You divide 4 by 2, and then what you do next?
And then I don't remember exactly. I thought we put it in the square or multiply it by 4. I don't remember.
Yeah, you divide 4 by 2 and then you square it.
Okay.
You see, you have to remember that, everybody here, because that is completing, that is 4.2, completing the square method, right? So if the test was tomorrow, then you would be asked about that, okay? Completing the square method. Now I understand, meanwhile, we did the test, right? Test number 2. Maybe you will focus on test number 2. But then you have to come back and remember exactly what we said about that. Completing the square method, right? The missing number here, how we get the missing number, you divide 4 by 2, and then you square it, right? Which is going to be 4. It's going to be 2 squared, which is 4. So I have to add 4 here, right? To make it a perfect square. Now look, we added 4, right? So that 4 wasn't here. If I want to make it even, I have to remove it, right? Okay, that is only, math is only stuff where we do that. You add something just to take it away, okay? In the real life, you don't do that. In the real life, you don't add something just to take it away, right? Or people want to think you are crazy. You see, if in the real life, you just add something and just take it away, right after you add it, people say, okay, what's the point? What's the point of doing it? But in math, we do that a lot. Why we do that in math? Because we want to change the appearance. We want to change how the expression appears, right? You see here, I added something. If I leave the 4 over there without taking it away, right? My expression will be altered, right? Everybody understands the logic? 4 wasn't here, the green 4 wasn't here. I added it myself, right? If I don't do nothing to balance that, to undo that, my original expression will change. I don't want my original expression to change. If I had an equation, I will add something on the left side and the right side. But here I don't have an equation like that, right? Okay. What I want to do, I'm going to take away whatever I added. Now look closely, everybody. Did we add 4, or how much actually we added? What do you think? Everybody. Did we add only 4, or actually, if you look closely, how much we added actually?
Did we not add anything actually?
No, we added 4 for now. The 4 is in green. We added 4. I have to take it away. I have to take away whatever I added. But did we add only 4? But look closely. We added 4 inside the parentheses, right? And yeah. The whole parenthesis is multiplied by what number?
3.
The whole parenthesis is multiplied by 3. So actually, how much we added actually?
12.
We added 12. So we have to take 12 away, right? So I added 12, I have to take 12 away. Okay? So that in that case, now let's compare what we have here with the original. If we see if anything did change, right? What is 3 times x squared? Is 3x squared, right? What is 3 times negative 4x? Negative 12x, right here. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. Plus 19, plus 19. Right? You see, that is, it's still the original form. Now what you get? We get 3. The 3 of them, they become a perfect square. They become x minus 2 all squared. And then 19 minus 12 is plus 7. Do you see? This is exactly this, right? Okay? This is how we get the vertex form. This is exactly how we get the vertex form. You see? It takes 3 steps. They're going to involve completing the square. Please don't forget completing the square. What is the number we have to add? You see here, why from the beginning here we didn't try to add a number to make it a perfect square? Why? Why we didn't divide 12 by 2 and then square that from the beginning? Can somebody tell me why we didn't do it from the beginning?
Because we wouldn't get a pretty numbers.
Because we wouldn't get a perfect square. But what is the remaining reason? If we divide by 12, which is 6, and 6 squared is 36. If we add 36, we will not get a perfect square. Somebody can tell me why? If we add 36, we will not get a perfect square. Can somebody tell me why? Okay, I'm going to tell you. Because last week we said before you get a perfect square here, the rule only works when the number in front of x squared is 1, right? That's the only time the rule will work. That rule, dividing by 2 and squaring, you divide the b by 2 and square, only works when this number is 1, this number right here. Since this number is 3, then that is the reason why you factor out 3. So to get 1 here, you see. That's the only reason. Okay, so these 4 steps are here. If I give you another example, can you write would you be able to write the vertex form? Follow the 3 steps we did. Write the vertex form. All right, go ahead. Do the couple of steps we did. Try to get the All right, so can somebody tell me a couple of steps you have to do here to get a perfect square, to get the vertex form, please?
I can try.
Go ahead, please. What you did first?
It's like I separated the 5 from the, I did 5 and then the parentheses, x to the second, plus 8x, plus 75.
Yes, plus 75 like that, right?
Yeah, and then I divided the 8 by 2, which was 4.
And then what you did to 4?
Squared it, which is 16.
Exactly. You see, 16 is a missing number if I want my parentheses to become a perfect square, right? Okay, now you have to take away whatever you are, how much you added, right? How much you added actually?
It's 80.
80.
Times.
So we have to do.
And then minus 80.
Exactly. And everybody, so let me explain to everybody. The 80 comes from 5 times 16, which is positive 80. So since it is positive 80, I have to remove positive 80. I have to make it negative 80 to balance that. Thank you very much. So now your parentheses become what square?
It's going to be y equals 5, parentheses, x minus 4.
Oh, it is a plus 4. You see, since this is plus, it's going to be plus here.
Plus 4. Okay, sorry. And then minus 5.
Minus 5. Thank you. So what is the vertex then?
And the vertex is, I have to go back and look. The vertex is...
So x plus 4, when you solve x plus 4 equals 0, x will be negative 4, right?
Negative 4.
So negative 4, comma, negative 5.
Okay.
All right. But like I said, do we need the vertex? Do we need the vertex? I mean, do we need the vertex form in order to get the vertex? I'm about to tell you we don't need that. Fortunately, we have what you call a vertex formula, right? There is another way. There is a way to find the vertex without having the vertex form. There is a way to find the vertex without writing the vertex form, right? You see that number, is that one right here? Y equals 5x squared plus 40x plus 75. Let's do the same one. So for instance, y equals 5x squared plus 40x plus 75, right? There's another way to find the vertex, I tell you, which we call the vertex formula. So first, what you do first? The vertex first, find negative b over 2a. Okay? Negative b over 2a. How much is a? A is 5. How much is b? Negative 40, right? So what is negative b over 2a is negative 40 divided by 2 times 5, right? Okay. So we get, this is negative 40 divided by 10, which is negative 4. That number, this is a h. Of the vertex. Everybody see that? Everybody see that? This is negative 4 right here. You see negative 4? So we have a shortcut to find the vertex without doing all the vertex form, right? And you have to learn these 2 steps. They are very important. They will help you to find the vertex. You see negative 4. That negative 4, how we get that negative 4? Negative b over 2a, right? Now, do you recall negative b over 2a somewhere? Let's come back to the original, to the beginning of the class. Look at the quadratic formula. Do you see negative b over 2a somewhere in the quadratic formula? Do you see?
Yes.
You see it right here. So if you memorize the quadratic formula, then it will be easy for you to recall this step right here, right? Okay, negative b over 2a, this is h. Now what you do next? Plug in that number, right, into the equation for x to find the k. You see, that number you got, negative 4, you plug in that number into the equation to find the k, which is 5 times negative 4 squared, right? Plus 40 times x, 40 times negative 4, right? Plus 75, and you do the math, right? Okay, so this is going to be, this is 16, this is 80 minus 160 plus 75, which is negative 80 plus 75, which is negative 5, right? You see, that is exactly the k right there. You see, that is exactly the k, negative 5. So what is the vertex? So my vertex is negative 4 comma negative 5. Everybody sees these two steps, everybody? Everybody see them? To find the vertex is very easy, right? Very, very easy. You find negative b over 2a. You do the fraction, right? You divide negative b over 2a. That is the h. After you got the h, whatever number you get, you substitute that number into the equation for x to give you the k. All right? So that is how we get the vertex. So I'm going to do that. So find the vertex. Y equals okay, go ahead, everybody. These two equations, trying to find the vertex with these two equations, following the two steps we just did, please.
Could you scroll up a little? I wasn't able to finish the second step.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so please, can you go ahead and tell us what is the first vertex you got? Somebody?
I can do it.
Go ahead, please.
The first one I did, I wrote that negative b over 2 times a. So negative, and then in parentheses, -6.
Exactly.
Over 2 times 3.
Exactly. How much is that?
Which is +6 over 6, which makes it 1.
Thank you very much. That is 1, right? You see, and then what you did with the 1?
And then I replaced the 1 for the x's, and I put 3 times 1 squared. 6 times 1 plus 13.
Yes, which is?
It equals 10.
3 minus 6 plus 13, which is 10.
10.
So what is the vertex then?
It's 1, 10.
Thank you. See? As simple as that, okay? As simple as that. Okay, somebody else, who is the second one? Please. Nobody? I mean, you see, for everybody, you know, I don't know, you see, for everybody, it's not because, okay, the test number 2 was good, stuff like that, but the semester is, you know, how much grade we have outstanding? Can somebody tell me how much grade we have to come? What is the percentage left?
Only half or less than half?
Yeah, I mean, the half of it is left. The final exam is 30%. The test number 3 will be 15%, so it's going to be 45. And the remaining of the homework will be about that, you know, about 3%. That's like almost 50% of the class is outstanding, right? So which means, you know, as much as for the attendance and for the participation, that needs to be maintained. I was happy the test number 2 was good for a lot of people. I was happy about that. But, you know, the semester is, you know, is still, the final exam is 30%. That's a lot of grade, okay? But, you know, I hope that today, I hope that it's only people are not willing to talk, but they are actually doing the math. Since the beginning of the class, I spoke with only two students, 2 of you only. But I hope everybody else is focused. I really hope, you know, I have no ways to verify that, you know. All right, so the second one, I'm going to stop here today. So is negative v over 2a is -8 times 2 times -1, which is 4. And then we substitute 4, you're going to be -4 squared, right? You see, the negative is not involved in the square, plus 8 times 4, plus -17, which is -16, plus 32 minus 17, which is 16 minus 17, which is -1. So the vertex will be 4, -1. So when you come back Thursday, actually we're going to learn how to graph a parabola by just figuring out the 4 points that are very important for the parabola. You know what they are. So the first point we already talked about is this is the vertex. Okay. This point, what name can we give to this point? We can call it what? Where the graph meets the y-axis, how can we call it? We can call the y-intercept, right? And these 2 points, we can call them the x-intercept. When we come back Thursday, we're going to see how to find this point, how to find these 2 points. We already seen how to find this point. So when you have these 4 points, you can graph your parabola, okay? So we're going to finish chapter 4. That's chapter 4. We're going to finish it Thursday, right? And then we're going to spend the rest of the time for the chapter 5, okay? Which is like some type of lengthy chapter, okay? All right, everybody. See you Thursday. I was saying, you know, again, the test number 2 was a good test. I hope that trend will continue for the test number 3 and the rest of it, okay? All right, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.